In this story, we're going to find out what it was really like to be a medieval child and discover why most of the things that make modern childhood fun would have been a potential death sentence in the 14th century. We'll look at a time when free-range parenting just meant hoping you didn't fall in the well, and the most valuable piece of safety equipment you owned was a healthy dose of pure, dumb luck. It's a journey into a past that's as fascinating as it is terrifyingly low on antibacterial wipes. And the best part? All the details of your miserable life as a medieval child have been recorded in depth, just so people some 700 years in the future, lying in their temperature-controlled rooms on memory foam mattresses, can get bored enough to fall asleep. And with that, allow me to properly introduce myself. Welcome, weary travellers, to Sleepy History. My name is Oliver, and I'll be your guide as we explore the past and help you drift into your peaceful slumber. Before we begin tonight's chronicle of childhood discomfort, I want to thank this wonderful community for its support. For those who wish to return for our future journeys, subscribing is the easiest way to find your way back to Sleepy History. I'd love to hear from you, so drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're listening from and what time it is. I love seeing who's choosing to spend their evening with our global community of history lovers. Now, please settle into your most comfortable position, adjust your pillows, pull up that blanket, and feel the weight of the day begin to melt away. Take your deepest breath and slowly exhale. There is nothing left to do, nowhere else to be. There is only the sound of my voice. Let it be your anchor as your eyelids grow heavy, allowing the modern world to fade away as we return to the year 1275. Chapter 1. The Misery of Morning. All right, you're awake. Congratulations. Your first instinct is to roll over and hit the snooze button, but of course, there's no snooze button to hit, mostly because precise time telling hasn't been properly invented yet. And even if it had, your family's net worth is approximately 3 chickens and a bucket. So, with no hope of a 9-minute reprieve, your only reward for surviving the night is to immediately face a cascade of discomforts, a veritable bingo card of medieval misery. You try to sit up, and your back cracks in 3 different places. That's because your bed, the aforementioned pile of straw, has all the orthopedic support of a sack of potatoes. You've got a crick in your neck that's so profound, you'll be looking at the world from a jaunty 45-degree angle for the rest of the day. You push aside the single, perpetually damp wool blanket. It's a shared resource, which means you spent half the night locked in a silent, slow-motion tug-of-war with your 2 siblings. You lost. The cold morning air hits your skin, and it's not a refreshing wake-up call. It's an assault. The air inside your one-room hut is thick enough to chew. There's the lingering smell of the pig, of course, but layered on top of that is the acrid sting of wood smoke from the central hearth that never goes out, and the overarching, musty scent of dampness that permeates everything you own. Your first task of the day, don't step on the chicken. Yes, a chicken has wandered in through the open doorway and is currently pecking at something unidentifiable on the dirt floor. Animals are not pets, they are assets, and they live where you live. There is no concept of personal space here. Your entire family, mother, father, 3 siblings, shares this cosy 15 by 20 foot space. You know every snore, every cough, every rustle. It's like being in a never-ending reality TV show, except there are no confessionals, and the grand prize is just surviving until spring. you don't get out of bed on the wrong side. You get out of bed on the side with slightly less mud and a lower probability of stepping in something unpleasant. As your bare feet touch the cold, packed earth, you can't help but think about the heated floors you don't have, the plush slippers you'll never see, and the simple, unimaginable luxury of waking up warm and alone. Chapter 2. Your Humble Abode, a Guided Tour. Let's take a grand tour of your living space. Don't worry, it won't take long. You live in what future historians will quaintly call a crook house. You call it the hut. You don't have a front door with a doorbell camera. You have a hole in the wall with a piece of hide hanging over it that does a terrible job of keeping the wind out. Step inside. Welcome to the kitchen, the bedroom, the living room, and the part-time animal shelter. It's the original open concept floor plan, born not of aesthetic choice, but of crushing poverty. The walls are made of wattle and daub. That's a fancy way of saying it's a basket weave of sticks smeared with mud, clay, and animal dung. It's the medieval version of drywall, if your drywall occasionally grew mushrooms and smelled faintly of manure. There are no windows. Glass is for churches and kings. Your only light sources are the doorway and a hole in the roof directly above the fire pit. This chimney is less a feat of engineering and more of an afterthought. It lets some of the smoke out, but most of it decides to stay inside, pickling your lungs and making your eyes water constantly. You don't have allergies, you have a permanent reaction to your own house. Look up. The thatched roof is black with years of accumulated soot. From the rafters hang the tools of your trade, a scythe, a flail, and the family's entire pantry, which consists of some drying herbs, a string of onions, and a slab of bacon getting a nice, slow smoke cure. Also hanging from the rafters, spiders, lots and lots of spiders. They are your silent, eight-legged roommates, and occasionally they lose their grip and fall into whatever you're eating. Extra protein. The floor is dirt, just plain packed earth. It's uneven, it's perpetually damp, and it serves as a convenient compost pile for any food scraps that get dropped. There's no point in sweeping. Where would you sweep it to? It's all dirt. In one corner, there's a bucket. This is the toilet. The plunger has not been invented. The concept of a dedicated room for this purpose is centuries away. The bucket gets emptied in the morning, and it's a chore that builds character, or at least a very strong stomach. There are no walls, no doors, no privacy. Every bodily function is a family affair. You live in a state of constant, unavoidable intimacy, a world without secrets, without silence, and certainly without the simple dignity of a closed bathroom door. Chapter 3. The Agony of the Itch. Let's talk about personal hygiene, or the tragic lack thereof. You are fundamentally, profoundly, and permanently dirty. A bath is not something you have ever experienced. The closest you get is a splash of frigid water on your face from a wooden bucket. This action removes approximately 1% of the grime. The other 99% is a stubborn, semi-permanent layer on your skin. It's your medieval tan. This brings us to your constant companions, the ones who are with you day and night. Let's start with the lice. Your scalp is their ancestral homeland. It's not a sign of neglect, it's a universal truth. Everyone has them. The itch is a relentless torment, a maddening tickle that blossoms into a frantic need to scratch your head until it's raw. You see your mother, your father, your siblings, all performing the same involuntary, twitchy dance of the perpetually infested. It's a shared family activity. Then come the fleas. They are the ninjas of the insect world. They live in your straw mattress, they hide in the seams of your clothes, and they hop on for a ride from the family pig. You don't see them coming. You just feel the sharp, sudden sting of their bite, which soon erupts into a red, infuriatingly itchy welt. At night, you can feel them crawling on you in the dark, a phantom sensation that makes your skin crawl. You slap at your arms and legs, a useless battle against an invisible horde. There's no bug spray, no calamine lotion, no concept of pest control beyond hoping the smoke from the fire annoys them as much as it annoys you. It doesn't. And then there's the itch of your own clothes. You own one garment, a shapeless tunic made of rough, coarse spun wool. It feels like wearing a Brillo pad. It has never been washed with soap. Its cleaning cycle consists of being dunked in a cold stream and beaten against a rock. This process makes it damp and slightly less muddy, but does nothing to soften the fabric or remove the embedded sweat, grime, and general funk. The constant chafing gives you a permanent rash around your neck and under your arms. It's a low-level background torture you've just learnt to live with. Finally, we have the agony of the teeth. There is no toothbrush, there is no mint-flavoured paste, there is no friendly dentist telling you to floss more. You might occasionally chew on a hazel twig to scrape off the worst of the gunk, but it's a losing fight. Your diet of gritty bread and pottage means every meal is like sandblasting your enamel. A dull, persistent ache in your jaw is as normal as breathing. It's the sign of decay, a preview of the inevitable, excruciating pain of a rotten tooth. The village blacksmith and his terrifying set of pliers is your only hope for relief. Anesthesia is 100 years in the future. You are a walking, talking ecosystem of grime, parasites, and low-grade infections. To be clean, to be free from the constant itch, is a fantasy beyond your wildest dreams. Chapter 4. The burden of attire. The grey light filtering through the smoke hole signals that the day has begun. It is time to put on your clothes. This is a simple process, as there are no choices to be made. You have one outfit. This is it. Your tunic, which also served as your pyjama, is lying in a heap on the dirt floor. You pick it up. It feels stiff and slightly damp. The fabric is wool, thick and heavy. It was spun and woven by your mother on a loom that takes up a large part of your small home. It is a valuable item, the product of many months of labour. You will wear this tunic until it is nothing but a collection of holes held together by threads and patches. You pull the rough garment over your head. The texture is coarse against your skin, a familiar and constant sensation. It does not feel soft, it does not feel comfortable. It feels like what it is, a purely functional layer of processed animal hair. The tunic is a simple shape, a long rectangle of cloth folded over and stitched at the sides, with openings for your arms and head. It has no buttons, no snaps, no zippers. Such things are not for you. It hangs on your body like a sack, its shape determined by gravity alone. Its colour is a drab brown, a colour that effectively hides the stains and dirt that are an inevitable part of its existence. To keep the long fabric from tripping you as you walk, you tie a rope around your waist. This is your belt. It is not for decoration. It is a tool. Sometimes you might hang a small pouch from it, or a knife if you are fortunate enough to have one. But most days it is just a rope, cinching the rough wool against your small body. You do not wear shoes. Your feet are bare. The soles are thick and calloused from years of walking on rough ground. You are used to the feeling of the cold earth, the sharp point of a stone, the soft ooze of mud between your toes. Shoes are a luxury for adults, for special occasions, for journeys longer than the one you take to the fields each day. This single piece of clothing is all you have to protect you from the world. In the summer, it is hot and stifling. In the winter, the wind cuts through the woven fibres as if they were not there. When it rains, the wool will absorb the water, becoming a heavy, cold, sodden weight that clings to your skin and drains the warmth from your body. But it is durable, it will endure, and so you pull on the tunic, cinch the rope, and prepare for the day. The slight, constant discomfort of the fabric is simply the first of many you will accept without question. Chapter 5. The morning's first meal. The fire in the central hearth has been fed a few more sticks. It smoulders and smokes, casting a dim, flickering light around the hut. It is time for the first meal of the day. There is no table to sit at, no set of matching plates. You and your siblings huddle near the warmth of the fire, each holding a small wooden bowl, worn smooth with years of use. Your mother ladles out the food from a large iron pot that hangs over the fire on a hook. The meal is pottage. It was pottage yesterday. It will be pottage tomorrow. It is the constant, unchanging fuel of your life. The pottage is a thick, greyish stew. Its main ingredient is whatever grain is available, oats, barley, rye, boiled in water until it becomes a thick porridge-like mass. Sometimes, for flavour, a few vegetables from the small garden patch are thrown in. A handful of wrinkly peas, a limp carrot, perhaps a few leaves of cabbage. There is no salt to season it. Salt is a precious commodity, controlled by the lord of the manor and too expensive for everyday use. There are no spices to liven up the flavour. The taste of the pottage is the taste of boiled grain and earth. It is bland, it is monotonous, it is filling. That is its only purpose. You are given a small piece of bread to go with your pottage. It is not a light, fluffy loaf. It is dark, heavy, and dense. It is made from rye or barley, the same coarse grains as the pottage. When you bite into it, you can feel the grit of the millstone that ground the flour. It is chewy and tough, and you use it to scoop up the last of the pottage from your bowl. To drink, you are given a cup of small ale. It is a weak, low-alcohol beer brewed at home. Water from the local stream is often unclean and can make you sick, so even children drink the ale. It is watery and slightly sour, but it is safer than the water. You eat your meal in silence, hunched over your bowl. The sounds are the crackle of the fire, the slurping of pottage, the rhythmic chewing of the heavy bread. There is no conversation about plans for the day. The plans are always the same. There is only the simple, repetitive act of eating. You eat until your bowl is empty, not because the food is enjoyable, but because your body needs the energy for the long day of work ahead. The meal is not an experience to be savoured. It is a task to be completed. The bland, gritty texture, the sour taste of the ale, the smoky air you breathe between bites. This is the taste of morning. It is the taste of your life. Chapter 6. The endless furrows. The sun has cleared the horizon now, a pale disk in a grey sky. The time for being inside is over. You follow your father out of the hut and into the morning air. The path leads away from the small cluster of other huts and towards the vast open fields that stretch out in every direction. These fields belong to the lord of the manor. You do not own this land, you work it. That is the arrangement. Your task for the day, and for most of the days in this season, is to help with the ploughing. Your father guides the heavy wooden plough, its iron tip digging a deep line into the damp earth. A team of 2 oxen is yoked to the front of the plough. They are slow, powerful beasts, their breath misting in the cool air. Your job is to walk ahead of them. In your hand is a long, pointed stick. Your task is to guide the oxen, to keep them moving in a straight line, and to clear any large rocks or roots from their path. The work is slow and repetitive. You take a step. The oxen take a step. The plough slices through the soil, turning it over in a dark, rich wave. You reach the end of the field, a long, long walk. Then the team turns. You turn, and you begin the journey back in the other direction, walking alongside the furrow you just created. The field seems to stretch on forever. Your world is reduced to the patch of ground directly in front of you. You watch for stones. You watch for thick roots that might snag the plough. Your eyes scan the earth, back and forth, back and forth. The silence is broken only by the creak of the wooden plough, the heavy, rhythmic breathing of the oxen, and your father's occasional shout of encouragement or command to the animals. Your bare feet sink into the soft, freshly turned soil. It is cold and wet. Mud squishes between your toes and cakes onto your ankles. Small sharp stones press into the soles of your feet. You do not notice them much anymore. Your feet are hard and tough. But still, a dull ache begins to build in your arches, a weariness that starts in your feet and slowly works its way up your legs. You look ahead, and the end of the furrow seems impossibly far away. You look behind, and the line of dark earth stretches back, a testament to how far you have come, but there are so many more lines to be drawn. The field is a giant canvas, and you're helping to draw endless, parallel lines across it, one slow step at a time. The sun climbs higher in the sky, but it provides little warmth. A breeze blows across the open field, cutting through your thin wool tunic. You pull your arms in close to your body, hunching your shoulders against the chill, but you cannot stop. The oxen must keep moving. The plough must keep turning the earth. The rhythm of the work is hypnotic. Step, step, step. The creak of wood. The sigh of the earth. Step, step, step. The rhythmic plodding of the oxen. Your mind goes blank. There is only the walking, the cold, and the endless brown line of the furrow. Chapter 7. The weight of water. The day is divided into tasks, and the sun is the only clock you need. When it reaches a certain point in the sky, your father gestures for you to leave the field. A new chore awaits. You are sent to fetch water. Water is life. It is needed for drinking, for the little cooking that is done, for watering the single pig and the handful of chickens. And the source of this life is the stream, a good 10-minute walk from your hut. You pick up the 2 wooden buckets. They're heavy even when empty, made of thick staves of oak bound with iron hoops. Carrying them makes your arms ache before you have even begun. You set off on the familiar path, a narrow track worn into the earth by the feet of everyone in your small village who has made this same journey. Day after day, year after year. The path winds through a small patch of woods. The air is cooler here, the light dimmer. The ground is uneven, thick with tree roots that wait to trip your tired feet. You walk carefully, your eyes on the path. The silence of the woods is deep, broken only by the rustle of a bird in the undergrowth, or the whisper of the wind in the leaves above. You reach the stream. It is not a wide, clear, bubbling brook. It is a slow-moving channel of murky water, brown with silt. The banks are muddy and slippery. You carefully make your way to the edge, trying not to slide into the cold water. You dip the first bucket in. It fills with a deep gurgling sound. The weight of it is immense. You pull it out, your arm muscles straining, and set it on the bank. Then you fill the second bucket. Now comes the hardest part, the journey back. You stand between the two full buckets, bend your knees, and grip the handles. With a grunt, you lift them. The weight is staggering. It pulls your shoulders down, and the rough rope handles dig into the soft skin of your hands. You begin the slow, careful walk back to the hut. Every step is an effort. You must walk slowly to avoid sloshing the precious water out of the buckets. Your arms scream in protest. Your shoulders burn. Your back aches. You focus on placing one foot in front of the other. The 10-minute walk back feels like an hour. You have to stop twice, lowering the buckets to the ground to give your arms a moment of rest. The relief is immediate but short-lived. You know you have to pick them up again. As you finally approach the hut, your mother comes out to help you. She takes one of the buckets, and the relief on that side of your body is so profound it makes you dizzy. Together, you carry the water inside and pour it into the large clay pot that serves as the water barrel. The buckets are empty again. Your arms throb with a dull, persistent pain. Your hands are red and raw where the handles have bitten into them. And you know with absolute certainty that you will have to make this same journey again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. The weight of the water is a constant in your life, a burden you must carry every single day. Chapter 8. The Lexicon of the Scythe. In another season, when the hay is tall in the meadows, your work changes. The plough is put away, and the scythe comes down from the rafters. The scythe is a tool of elegant, deadly simplicity. It has a long, curved wooden handle, called a snath, which has been worn smooth by your father's hands. At the base of the snath is a long, curved blade, wickedly sharp. Your father is the one who wields the scythe. Your job is to follow behind him. The work of mowing begins at dawn, when the dew is still heavy on the grass. The moisture helps the blade to slice cleanly. Your father moves with a practiced, rhythmic grace. He plants his feet, swings the scythe in a wide, low arc, and the tall grass falls with a soft, satisfying sigh. Shh, 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 shh. It is a peaceful, hypnotic sound that fills the summer morning. Your task is to gather the cut grass. You use a simple wooden rake. After your father has made a few passes, you step in and rake the fallen grass into long piles called windrows. The rake is light, but the work is constant. You rake, you step back. Your father swings the scythe. Shh, shh. You step forward, you rake, you step back. It is a dance you've done many times. The sun climbs and the dew burns off the grass. The air becomes hot and still. Sweat trickles down your face and stings your eyes. The smell of the freshly cut hay is sweet and strong. Bees buzz lazily over the clover flowers that grow among the grasses. You work on, the rhythm unbroken. Rake, step, rake, step. The meadow is a catalogue of plants. You see the broad leaves of plantain, the feathery tops of timothy grass, the purple heads of clover, the yellow faces of dandelions. You rake them all together. They are all hay now. The repetitive motion of raking begins to take its toll. A familiar ache settles into your lower back. Your shoulders begin to burn from the constant pulling motion. Your hands, gripping the wooden handle of the rake, become slick with sweat. You pause for a moment to wipe your brow with the back of your arm. leaving a smear of dirt behind. You look at the field. So much has been cut, but so much remains. The work seems endless. Your father stops. He pulls a whetstone from his belt and begins to sharpen the scythe blade. The sound is a sharp, metallic ring. Ring, ring, ring. It is a brief pause in the rhythm of the work. He tests the blade with his thumb, nods, and the work resumes. Shh, 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 shh. You continue to rake. The sun beats down on your head. Your tunic is stuck to your back with sweat. Your throat is dry, but you do not stop. The hay must be cut while the weather is dry. It must be gathered and piled into stacks to dry so it can be stored as food for the oxen and the pig during the long winter. Your work is a link in a chain that leads to survival. And so you continue the dance. Rake, step, rake, step. The sun moves slowly across the sky. The shadow of your body lengthens on the shorn meadow. The pile of cut grass grows and the ache in your back deepens. Chapter 9. The tyranny of the leaky roof. There are days when you cannot work in the fields, days when the sky opens up and a cold, persistent rain falls. On these days, the entire family is confined to the hut, and on these days, you are reminded of the single greatest flaw in your home's design: the roof. The thatched roof is thick, made of bundled reeds or straw. When it is new, it does a reasonable job of keeping the water out. But your roof is not new, it is old. It has been patched and repatched, but there are always places where the water finds a way through. The rain begins as a gentle patter on the thatch. It is a soothing sound at first, but then you hear it. A single, slow, deliberate drip, 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 drip. A dark spot appears on the dirt floor. Your mother sighs and places a wooden bowl under the drip to catch the water. Soon, another drip begins in a different part of the hut. Drip, drip, then another. Drip, drip, drip. It is a symphony of leakage. Soon, the floor is dotted with bowls, pots, and any other container that can be found. Each one makes its own unique sound as the water strikes it. A hollow plink in a wooden bowl, a sharp pang in an iron pot, a soft thud in a clay jug. The air in the hut grows thick with the smell of wet earth and damp wool. A chill seeps in, a damp cold that feels much worse than the dry cold of winter. The smoke from the fire struggles to rise, and the hut becomes even smokier than usual. The haze stinging in your eyes and throat. There is nothing to do but wait for the rain to stop. You sit on the floor, listening to the chorus of drips. You watch the bowl slowly fill with brown, gritty rainwater. Sometimes, you are tasked with emptying the full bowls, dashing out into the rain for a moment to throw the water away before rushing back into the damp gloom of the hut. The sound is maddening. Drip, plink, drip, pang, drip, drip, drip. You cannot escape it. It is the soundtrack to your enforced idleness. The dampness seems to creep into everything. Your blanket feels clammy. Your tunic feels heavy and cold. A shiver runs through you, and you huddle closer to the smouldering fire, trying to find a patch of floor that is not yet dark with moisture. The leak in the roof is a constant worry. It means the thatch is rotting. It means that precious warmth will escape in the winter. It means the never-ending work of patching and repairing. For now, it is just a sound, a relentless, monotonous percussion that marks the passage of a long, wet, miserable day. You close your eyes and listen. Drip, drip, drip. The sound fills your head. It is the sound of decay, the sound of a home that is slowly, relentlessly, losing its battle against the elements. Chapter 10. A catalogue of aches. Your body is a map of small pains. They are so constant that most of the time you do not even notice them. They are simply part of the background noise of being alive. But in the quiet moments, or at the end of a long day, you feel them. A whole catalogue of aches and soreness, each one earned through the simple act of living your life. There is the ache in your lower back. It is a dull, persistent throb that is always there. It comes from bending over for hours, pulling weeds from the garden patch. It comes from carrying heavy buckets of water. It comes from the awkward, stooped posture you adopt when huddling by the fire. It is the ache of constant labour. There are the aches in your joints. Your knees ache from kneeling on the hard earth. Your shoulders ache from the repetitive motion of raking hay or swinging a small flail during the harvest. Your wrists ache from gripping tools. These are not the sharp pains of injury, but the deep, weary aches of joints that are worked too hard, with too little rest. There are the stings of small cuts and scrapes. Your hands are a crisscross of tiny wounds, a slice from a sharp piece of straw, a scrape from a rough stone, a prick from a thorn bush when you are foraging for berries. You do not have bandages or antiseptic. A cut is simply left to heal on its own. It might sting for a few days, a small sharp reminder of a moment of carelessness. There is the itch, the constant, maddening itch of flea bites on your legs and arms, the deep, persistent itch of lice in your hair, the chafing itch of your rough wool tunic against your skin. The itch is a form of low-level torture, a sensation you can never fully escape. There is the ache in your feet. Your bare feet are tough, but they are not immune to pain. There is the dull ache from walking all day on uneven ground. There is the sharp pain when you step on a thistle or a pointed rock. In the winter, there is the deep, burning ache of cold that seeps in from the frozen earth. And then there is the ache of hunger. It is not always a sharp pang. More often, it is a dull, hollow feeling in your stomach. A feeling of being not quite full. A feeling of weakness. Of a body that is not getting quite enough fuel for the work it is asked to do. At night, when you lie down on your bed of straw, the catalogue of aches makes itself known. You shift your body, trying to find a position where the stone under your shoulder doesn't press so hard, where the ache in your back eases a little. You feel the sting of a new cut, the throb of an old bruise. These feelings are the language of your body. They tell the story of your day, the story of your life, a life of hard surfaces, heavy loads, and constant, unending work. Chapter 11. The Murmur of the Mill. One of the most important places in your small world, though you only visit it occasionally, is the Lord's Mill. After the harvest, the grain that your family has laboured to grow must be ground into flour. You are not allowed to do this yourself with a simple handstone. All grain must be taken to the Lord's Mill, and a portion of the flour, called the multure, must be paid to the Lord for the privilege of using it. The journey to the mill is a long one. You and your father load heavy sacks of grain onto your backs and begin the walk. The mill is situated on the river, a powerful stream that turns the great water wheel. As you get closer, you can hear it, a low, constant murmur that grows into a deep, rumbling groan. It is the sound of the massive wooden gears turning, of the heavy millstones grinding against each other. Inside the mill, the air is thick with a fine white dust that coats everything. It gets in your nose and throat, making you cough. The sound in here is deafening. The groan and clatter of the machinery fills the space, making it impossible to talk. You can feel the vibration of the turning stones through the wooden floor. The miller is a powerful man in the village. He is covered in flour dust from head to foot, giving him a ghostly appearance. He hefts your sacks of grain with ease and pours them into the hopper, a large funnel that feeds the grain down into the space between the two great millstones. You watch the process, mesmerised. The top stone, the runner stone, spins slowly, relentlessly, on top of the bottom stone, the bed stone. The grain is crushed between them, emerging from the edges as a fine, warm flour. The process is slow but powerful and unstoppable. The water from the river, harnessed by the wheel, performs this magic, turning hard kernels of wheat or rye into the soft powder that will become your bread. The smell of the freshly ground flour is warm and nutty. It is the smell of sustenance, the smell of life for the coming winter. But it is also a smell tinged with resentment. You watch as the miller takes his scoop and measures out the Lord's portion. It always seems like a very large portion. That is flour your family has grown, flour you have harvested, flour you have carried on your backs to this mill. And now, a significant part of it is gone. The remaining flour is scooped into your empty sacks. They feel lighter now. You and your father hoist them back onto your shoulders for the long walk home. As you walk away, the deep rumbling murmur of the mill fades behind you. It is a sound of power, both the power of the river and the power of the Lord who owns it. It is the sound of your labour being transformed and a portion of it being taken away. It is a fundamental sound of the world you live in. Chapter 12. Foraging for scraps. The fields provide your main sustenance, the grain for your pottage and bread. But the commons, the woods and the hedgerows provide the small additions that make a monotonous diet barely more varied. When you're not needed for a larger task, you are sent out to forage. You take a small woven basket and wander along the edges of the fields and into the woods. Your eyes are trained to scan the ground, the bushes, the trees. You are looking for anything edible that nature might offer. In the late summer and early autumn, this task is most rewarding. You find blackberry bushes, their branches heavy with dark, juicy fruit. You pick them carefully, trying to avoid the sharp thorns that guard them. Your fingers become stained with purple juice. You pop one in your mouth. The burst of sweetness is a rare treat, a shocking contrast to the blandness of your usual food. Most of the berries, however, go into the basket. They will be a welcome addition to the evening meal. You look for nuts, hazelnuts, hidden in their frilly green husks, walnuts, if you are lucky enough to know where a tree grows. You gather them from the ground, your small basket slowly filling with these hard-won treasures. They will be stored for the winter, a source of rich fat and protein when other foods are scarce. You dig for roots, you use a pointed stick to unearth the long, thin roots of the pignut, which have a sweet, nutty flavour. You look for the edible tubers of common plants that your mother has taught you to recognise. This is knowledge passed down through generations, a catalogue of survival. You gather greens, the young leaves of the nettle, which must be cooked to remove their sting, the leaves of wild garlic, which add a pungent, welcome flavour to the pottage. You learn to distinguish the edible plants from the poisonous ones. A mistake could be your last. The work is slow and quiet. You are alone with your thoughts, your world reduced to the patch of ground you're searching. The sounds of the rustle of leaves, the buzz of a bee, the distant call of a crow. It is peaceful, but it is also a constant reminder of your precarious existence. You are a gleaner, a scavenger, living on the margins, collecting the scraps that the organised agriculture of the manor has left behind. Your basket is never full. You find just enough to supplement the family's meal for a day or two. A handful of berries, a pocketful of nuts, a bunch of bitter greens. It is not a feast, but it is something. It is a small victory against the ever-present hunger. You turn for home, the small weight of your basket, a comfort in your hand. It is a reminder that with enough work, enough knowledge, and enough luck, the earth will provide just enough to keep you going. Chapter 13. The unending task of mending. Things are not replaced, they are mended. In a world where every object is the product of long, hard labour, nothing is disposable. When something breaks, it is fixed. When something is torn, it is patched. This is a fundamental law of your existence. On rainy days or in the evenings by the dim light of the fire, the mending is done. Your mother is the master of this task, but you are learning. You are shown how to thread a coarse needle, made of bone or bronze, with a thick, hand-spun woolen thread. Your own tunic is a testament to this law of mending. It is more patch than original fabric. A tear in the sleeve, from catching it on a branch, is covered with a square of cloth, taken from a garment that has become too ragged to wear anymore. The stitches are large and uneven, but they are strong. They hold. You are given a pair of your father's woolen hose to mend. There is a hole in the heel, worn through by countless steps. Your task is to darn it. You stretch the worn area over a smooth, rounded stone. Then you begin the slow, repetitive work of weaving your needle back and forth, creating a new patch of fabric out of thread alone. The work is tedious. Your eyes strain in the poor light. The needle is clumsy in your small, unpracticed hands. You prick your finger, and a tiny droplet of blood wells up. You quickly put the finger in your mouth, not wanting to stain the wool. You look at the clothes your family wears. Each garment tells a story in its patches and mended seams. You can see where a burn from a stray ember was patched over. You can see where a seam was reinforced after giving way under the strain of labour. These clothes are maps of accidents and wear, archives of a life of use. The same principle applies to everything. A broken tool handle will be carefully spliced and bound with leather cord. A crack in a wooden bowl will be sealed with beeswax. A leaky bucket will have its gaps plugged with moss and pitch. To throw something away because it's broken is an act of unimaginable wastefulness. So you sit by the fire, your head bent over your work. Stitch by stitch, you fill the hole in the heel of the hose. The world outside is dark. The only sounds are the crackle of the fire and the quiet breathing of your sleeping family. Your world is small, contained within the circle of firelight. And in this small world, you are performing a vital task. You are not creating something new. You are preserving something old. You are fighting against the forces of decay and entropy with a needle and thread. You are holding your small world together, one slow, careful stitch at a time. Chapter 14. The grey of the gruel. The evening meal is much like the morning meal. The iron pot still hangs over the fire. Your mother once again ladles out its contents into your wooden bowl. Tonight the pottage is slightly different. The handful of blackberries you gathered has been thrown in. creating strange dark purple streaks in the greyish mass. You eat, as always, with a spoon carved from wood or horn. The food is hot, and you blow on each spoonful before you put it in your mouth. The texture is the same as it always is, thick, lumpy, and slightly gritty. The base flavour is the bland taste of boiled grain. But tonight, there is the occasional burst of sweetness from a cooked blackberry, a small surprising pleasure in the familiar monotony. This is the rhythm of your diet, an unchanging staple, the pottage, the gruel, the coarse bread, occasionally supplemented by a small seasonal treat. In the summer, a few berries. In the autumn, a handful of nuts. In the spring, some bitter greens. In the winter, there is often nothing extra at all, just the grain, just the gruel. You think about the food you have eaten today, a bowl of pottage in the morning, a chunk of dark, heavy bread in the middle of the day, eaten in the field, and now another bowl of pottage. It is enough to keep you alive. It is enough to give you the strength to work. It is not enough to make you feel truly full, truly satisfied. There is no variety. The concept of choosing what to eat is alien. You eat what is there. You eat what the harvest has provided. If the harvest was poor, you eat less. If it was good, you eat a little more. Your life is tied directly to the earth, to the rain, to the sun. A drought or a flood is not an item in a news report. It is a direct threat to your existence. It is the difference between a winter of hunger and a winter of starvation. You look into your bowl, the grey lumpy gruel stares back at you. It is not appetizing, it is not appealing, it is fuel. You lift another spoonful to your mouth. You chew, you swallow. You do not think about the taste. You do not think about what you would rather be eating. Such thoughts are useless. There is only the gruel. There is only the task of eating it, of filling the hollow space in your stomach so that you will have the energy to wake up and do it all again tomorrow. The grey of the gruel is the colour of survival. It is the colour of your world. Chapter 15. The hum of the hearth. The evening meal is finished. The bowls have been scraped clean. The world outside the hut is now completely dark. There are no street lights, no glowing screens. The darkness is total, a thick, impenetrable blanket. The only light in your world comes from the hearth. The fire has been banked for the night, but it is never allowed to go out completely. A core of glowing embers is carefully covered with ash to keep it alive until morning. This small sleeping fire is the heart of your home. Its warmth is the only thing that holds the deep cold of the night at bay. Its light is the only thing that pushes back the darkness. You and your family huddle near the hearth. The circle of its warmth is small. Just a few feet away, the air is cold and damp. You sit on the dirt floor, your back against the rough wattle wall, and you watch the embers glow. The fire makes a soft humming sound, a low, constant murmur. It is the sound of the hut breathing. The embers shift and settle, sending up a brief shower of sparks. The light flickers, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The familiar shapes of the hut, the hanging tools, the loom, the sleeping forms of your siblings are transformed into strange moving monsters by the unsteady light. There is no entertainment, no books to read, no music to listen to, unless your father decides to sing a sad, droning song that he remembers from his own childhood. Most nights, there is only silence, a deep, profound silence, broken only by the hum of the hearth, the occasional cough, and the sound of the wind outside. You stare into the glowing heart of the fire. The patterns of the embers are always changing. You can see shapes in them if you look long enough. A face, an animal, a castle. It is a game you play in your own mind, a way to pass the long empty hours between the end of work and the beginning of sleep. The warmth from the fire makes your eyelids heavy. The smoke, even from the banked embers, stings your eyes. The monotonous hum of the burning wood is a lullaby. It is the sound of safety, of a temporary truce in the constant battle against the cold and the dark. You watch the last of the red glow fade as the ash is carefully piled on. The hut is plunged into near total darkness. The only light now is the memory of the fire behind your closed eyelids. You crawl to your straw pallet, the hum of the hearth still echoing in your ears. It is the last sound you hear as you drift into a sleep that is less a rest and more a surrender to the weariness of your body and the darkness of the night. Chapter 16. The Cycle of the Seasons, the Cycle of the Chores. Your life does not follow a calendar of dates and months. It follows the great wheel of the seasons. Each season brings with it a different set of tasks, a different kind of labour. But the work itself is always there. It is a constant and unchanging truth. The wheel turns and you turn with it. In the spring, the world thaws, the earth softens. This is the season of ploughing. Day after day is spent in the fields, guiding the oxen, turning the soil, preparing the land for the seeds. Then comes the sowing, the back-breaking work of walking the furrows with a bag of seed, scattering the precious grain by hand. It is a season of hope, of new beginnings, of aching backs and sore feet. Then comes summer, the sun beats down. The crops grow tall. This is the season of weeding. You spend endless hours on your hands and knees in the vegetable patch, pulling out the stubborn weeds that threaten to choke the life from your food. You walk the fields, pulling up thistles and other unwanted plants from among the growing wheat and barley. It is a season of heat, of sweat, of the constant nagging ache of a bent back. And it is the season of haymaking, of the rhythmic swing of the scythe and the sweet smell of cut grass. Then comes autumn. The days grow shorter. The air grows crisp. This is the harvest, the most important time of the year. The entire family works from sunrise to sunset. You cut the stalks of grain with a small curved sickle. You bind them into sheaves. You carry the heavy sheaves to the cart. It is a frantic, exhausting race against the weather to get the crop in before the autumn rains begin. It is a season of urgency, of dust and chaff, of the deep satisfaction of a full barn and the deep fear of a poor yield. Then comes winter, the great cold descends. The earth is frozen solid. The fields are bare, the work moves indoors. This is the season of mending, of repairing tools. Your father carves a new handle for an axe. Your mother sits at her loom. The rhythmic clack-clack filling the smoky hut as she weaves new cloth. You are given tasks to help. You card wool, combing the raw, greasy fleece to prepare it for spinning. You feed the animals. You fetch wood for the fire. It is a season of darkness, of cold, of huddling close to the hearth. It is a season of waiting, waiting for the cold to break, waiting for the wheel to turn once more towards the spring. The seasons change, the work changes, but the cycle is endless. Ploughing, sowing, weeding, harvesting, mending, carding, waiting. Year after year, the same tasks repeat. Your life is a loop, a circle of chores dictated by the sun and the soil. There is no concept of a weekend, of a vacation, of a day off. There is only the work that the season demands, and you do it. Because to stop to break the cycle is to starve. Chapter 17. The weight of silence. There is a deep quiet to your world. It is a silence that modern life has completely erased. There is no constant hum of traffic, no drone of a refrigerator, no television chattering in the corner, no music playing from a speaker. When the work stops, the world falls silent. In the fields, the silence is vast. It is the silence of the open sky, the wide earth. It is broken by the sound of the wind, the cry of a bird, the creak of the plough. But these are the sounds of nature, sounds that only deepen the underlying quiet. You can work for hours beside your father without a single word being spoken. There is nothing that needs to be said. The work is understood. The silence is normal. In the hut at night, the silence is thick and heavy. The family sits together in the dim firelight, but often in complete silence. There is no news to share, no stories to tell that have not been told 100 times before. The day was like the day before it, the work was the same, the food was the same. The silence is a shared space, a comfortable blanket woven from weariness and familiarity. You do not have a rich inner monologue, filled with complex thoughts and witty observations. Your mind is often as quiet as the world around you. Your thoughts are simple, practical things. Is it going to rain? I am thirsty. My back aches. The complexities of philosophy, of art, of politics do not exist for you. Your world is small and your thoughts are tailored to fit it. This silence is not peaceful in the way a modern person might seek it out as a retreat. It is simply an absence of distraction, an absence of information, an absence of any stimulus beyond the immediate physical world. It is the weight of an empty space. Sometimes the silence is broken, the sound of the church bell, ringing out across the fields from the distant village. It is a lonely, solemn sound that marks the passage of time in a way that the sun cannot. Or the sound of a dog barking, or the rare sound of a cart rattling down the track. These small sounds are notable events in the quiet landscape of your life. You are not lonely, you are surrounded by your family, but you are isolated in a way that is hard to imagine. Your world is the hut, the fields, the path to the stream. Your knowledge is what your parents have taught you. The silence is the space in which your small, unchanging life unfolds. It is the blank canvas on which the few simple events of your existence are painted. It is a weight, a presence, a fundamental feature of your reality. Chapter 18. The fading of the light. The end of the day is not marked by a clock, it is marked by the sun. As the sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon, the quality of the light changes. The harsh, direct light of midday softens into a golden glow. The shadows lengthen, stretching out like long, dark fingers across the fields. This is the signal that the workday is nearing its end. There is a subtle shift in the rhythm of the work, a sense of winding down. The last furrow is ploughed, the last sheaf of wheat is bound. The tools are gathered. There is a sense of urgency to finish before the light fails completely. You walk home from the fields, your body weary, your mind empty. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of orange and pink. It is a beautiful sight, but you do not see it as beauty. You see it as the end of your ability to work. Light is a resource, and it is being depleted. Back at the hut, The preparations for the night begin. The animals are secured. The last of the water is fetched. The evening meal is prepared and eaten in the growing twilight. As the last sliver of the sun disappears, the world is not plunged immediately into darkness. There is a period of soft grey light, a gentle transition, but it does not last long. The darkness rises up from the ground, seeming to swallow the landscape. The trees at the edge of the wood become dark, shapeless silhouettes. The other huts in your small settlement fade into the gloom. Inside the fire is the only source of light. It casts a small flickering circle of visibility in a sea of darkness. Your world shrinks to the size of this circle of light. Everything beyond it is a mystery. You hear the sounds of the night, the hoot of an owl, the rustle of some small creature in the thatch of the roof, but you cannot see their source. There is no way to extend the day. No candles are wasted for simple illumination. Candles are a luxury, reserved for the church or the Lord's manor. There are no oil lamps. When the light is gone, the day is over. Productive human activity ceases. The darkness is a physical presence. It is a time of vulnerability, of fear of the things that move unseen. But it is also a time of forced rest. There is nothing else to do but sleep. The fading of the light is an inexorable command. It is nature's curfew. It dictates the rhythm of your life as surely as the rising of the sun. You watch the fire burn down. You watch the shadows dance and you surrender to the night, knowing that your world has shrunk to the space you can feel with your own two hands, until the sun returns to grant you sight once more. Chapter 19. The boundaries of your world. Your world is very small. You can walk its entire circumference in a single day. At the centre is your hut. From there, paths radiate outwards, like the spokes of a wheel. There is the path to the fields where you work. There is the path to the stream where you fetch water. There is the path to the woods where you forage for nuts and berries. There is the path to the village, a small cluster of huts like your own, and a small simple church made of stone. You know these paths intimately. You know every turn, every muddy patch, every large stone. You have walked them thousands of times. They are the map of your life, etched into the earth by your own feet and the feet of your ancestors. You have never travelled beyond this small circle. The concept of a city, a place with hundreds of houses and thousands of people, is something you have only heard about in stories. It seems as fantastical and distant as the kingdom of heaven. You have never seen the sea. You have never seen a mountain. Your landscape is the flat, rolling fields of the manor, the small patch of woodland, the slow-moving river. The people in your world are the same people you have always known. Your family, your neighbours, the village priest, the miller, the reeve who manages the manor for the Lord. You see the same faces every day. You know everyone's name, everyone's family, everyone's history. There are no strangers here. Your life is governed by a strict and unchanging hierarchy. You are a peasant, a serf. You are tied to this land. You cannot leave it without the Lord's permission, which is never given. The Lord of the manor, who you have seen only a few times in your life, is a remote and powerful figure who owns the land, the mill, the woods, and, in a way, you. His will is law. There is no social mobility. You were born a peasant, and you will die a peasant. Your children will be peasants. This is not seen as an injustice. It is simply the way of the world ordained by God. Your place in the world is as fixed and unchanging as the seasons. You do not think about what lies beyond the horizon. The world beyond your small patch of it is irrelevant. It has no bearing on your daily life. Your concerns are immediate and practical. Will it rain? Is the harvest good? Will there be enough food for the winter? Your world is bounded not by fences but by custom, by obligation, and by the limits of your own 2 feet. It is a small, enclosed, predictable world. Nothing ever changes. The same tasks are performed in the same fields, year after year. The same families live in the same huts, generation after generation. It is a life of profound stability and profound stagnation. Your horizons are as close and as unchanging as the low grey sky above the fields. Chapter 20. The promise of sleep. The day is done, the light is gone, the final meal has been eaten, the silence has descended, all that is left is sleep. You crawl across the dirt floor to your designated sleeping space. You do not have a bedroom, you do not have a bed. You have a sack filled with straw in a corner of the hut. You lie down. The straw rustles beneath you. It is lumpy and pokey. You can feel the cold of the earth seeping up through the thin barrier of the sack. You pull a corner of the rough shared woolen blanket over you. Its weight is familiar, but it offers little warmth. Your body is a symphony of dull aches. Your back throbs from a day spent bent over. Your feet burn with a weary pain. Your hands sting with small cuts and scrapes. You shift your position, trying to find a configuration of limbs that minimizes the discomfort. You curl into a tight ball, trying to conserve your body heat. You can hear the sounds of your family sleeping around you, your father's deep rumbling snore, your mother's soft whistling breath, the rustle of a sibling turning over in their sleep. You are not alone, but you are adrift in your own small sea of physical sensation. You close your eyes. The darkness behind your eyelids is the same as the darkness in the hut. Your mind is blessedly empty. The repetitive, exhausting labour of the day has scoured it clean of complex thought. There is no anxiety about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the same as today. There is no replay of conversations, no planning, no worrying. There is only the deep, profound weariness of your body. The cold is a constant presence. It is a pressure on your skin, a chill that you can feel deep in your bones. You try to sink into the straw, to find some small pocket of insulation. The itch of a flea bite on your ankle distracts you for a moment. You scratch it, a slow, lazy motion in the dark. Sleep does not come quickly. It is a slow, gradual sinking, a slow surrender. You float in the space between waking and sleeping, aware of the cold, aware of the aches, aware of the sounds of the hut. But slowly, inevitably, the sensations begin to fade. The aches become more distant. The cold loses its sharp edge. The sounds melt into a formless hum. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not a pleasant escape. It is a biological necessity. It is the only respite you will get from the endless labour and discomfort of your life. It is a brief, dreamless oblivion, a temporary death before the sun rises and commands you to be reborn into the same life, the same body, the same world, all over again. And so you let go. You sink into the darkness. You accept the only comfort this life has to offer, the profound, empty promise of unconsciousness.